Rolligon. The idea of creating this unusual vehicle came to William Albee when he was watching the Eskimos transporting the boat over land, laying seal skin filled with air under the bottom. Having adapted the idea for modern materials, Albee produced special low-pressure tires made of cloth and rubber, which allowed to overcome any obstacles. The truck, equipped with such wheels, was quite maneuverable and fast. Its speed reached 75 km per hour. In addition, it could easily move on unstable surfaces, such as sand, snow, or swamp, and thanks to wide, low-pressure wheels, the vehicle didn't sink. Antarctic Snow Cruiser. This all-terrain vehicle was created by the Illinois Institute of Technology in 1939 for Richard Byrd's expedition to Antarctica. It was designed by Thomas Poulter. To improve the maneuverability in the Antarctic landscapes, the designers used two solutions. They put four 120-inch wheels and equipped the body of the car with a ski-like bottom. The snowmobile was able to pass cracks of up to 4.5 meters wide like skis, pushing with the wheels. In the same way, it was supposed to overcome granular ice. The total length of the cruiser was 17 meters and it weighed 34 tons. However, once in Antarctica, the all-terrain vehicle wasn't able to move as its wheels sank into the snow. Despite all attempts by members of the expedition to correct the situation, the car was decided to be abandoned, and today the location of the cruiser is unknown. Air Roll. Another vehicle created by the principal of Bill Albee's Rolligon was created in 1956 by an inventor named Richard Marsh. The main advantage of this vehicle was good cross-country ability on extreme off-road, including swamps, dirt, and arable land. Thanks to the original design of the chassis, the specific pressure on the ground was low, hence the effect. At the same time, the Chrysler V8 engine located behind the cab provided the 9-ton amphibian with a stable speed of about 50 km per hour. The Air Roll prototype was purchased by the US Navy, improved and subsequently used successfully. MiL V12. The heaviest load-lifting helicopter ever built in the world was created in the USSR and first flew in 1968. The helicopter was supposed to transport various types of military equipment with a mass of up to 25 tons, including the latest ballistic missiles of strategic purpose at the time. The project of the Air Giant was a 4-motor vehicle with a 2-rotor transverse scheme. At the ends of each wing panel there was a nacelle with two D25VF gas turbines with a capacity of 6,500 horsepower each. The fuselage of the V12 was made in the form of a giant semi-monocoque. Its front part was occupied by a 2-story crew cabin. In the tail part of the fuselage there was a power ladder with side flaps. Despite the fact that the helicopter managed to lift a 44,205 kilogram cargo to a height of 2,255 meters, setting a world record for the load capacity for helicopters, the program was found ineffective and the development of the MiL V12 stopped. Big Brutus. This special vehicle known as Big Brutus is a huge electric shovel and one of the largest machines of its kind. Big Brutus was developed for the extraction of coal from thin seams, and its depth varies from 6 to 21 meters. When working at maximum speed, the excavator is able to open a surface area of 260 hectares in a year. The height of Big Brutus is 49 meters, and the bucket has a capacity of 69 cubic meters or 150 tons. The machine was commissioned in May 1963. During its operation, the excavator produced about 9 million tons of coal, and despite the fact that its design was calculated for 25 years of operation, Big Brutus was used for only 11 years. In April 1974, the excavator was found economically inefficient, and the work was stopped. Currently, it is the main exhibit of the Mining Museum in West Mineral, Kansas. LZ-129 Hindenburg. The German passenger airship, the Hindenburg, was built in 1936 and became the largest airship ever created. It was 245 meters long, and its volume reached 200,000 cubic meters of gas. The Zeppelin was equipped with 4 diesel engines with an operating capacity of about 800 or 900 horsepower and a maximum capacity of 1,200 horsepower each. The Hindenburg was able to lift up to 100 tons of payload and 50 passengers, while speeding up to 135 kilometers per hour. The airship was one of the popular ways of crossing the Atlantic. The Hindenburg did its last flight in May 1937. A fire began during the landing, as a result of which the airship was completely burned in 34 seconds. Snow Freighter. This car, developed by Letourneau Technologies, was actually an 84-meter train with a locomotive cab and 5 trailer cars. Each trailer could carry 25 tons of supplies, with a total load capacity of 150 tons. The 24-wheeled car was set up by a crew of 4 people. It didn't need roads or railway to cross the Alaska tundra, and also easily crossed rivers up to 1.5 meters deep. The Snow Freighter was in operation in 1955 until there was a fire in the engine compartment, after which the use of this off-road vehicle was discontinued. RMS Lusitania. The British ocean liner the Lusitania, known primarily for its luxurious rooms and high-speed capabilities, cruised across the Atlantic between the US and Great Britain. Its displacement was about 31,000 tons, length about 240 meters. For comparison, the length of the famous Titanic was 268 meters. At that time, the Lusitania was one of the largest ships in the world. It's worth noting that in August 1909, the liner was able to cross the North Atlantic at a speed of 47.87 kilometers per hour. The Lusitania was in operation for almost 8 years, until it sank in 1915 as a result of a torpedo hit. The Rhino. This machine that looks like a piece of a sci-fi movie decoration was created in 1953 by an American inventor named Eli Agnides. Having a curb weight of 5 tons and hemispherical iron wheels, each weighing 700 kilograms, this all-terrain vehicle could accelerate up to 70 kilometers per hour. The low center of gravity of the car and the unusual chassis provided it with excellent cross-country ability, allowed it to float and practically walk on the walls. This may seem surprising, but at an angle of 75 degrees, the Rhino didn't tip over. Schrewer Gustav. This super-heavy artillery railway gun was developed in the late 30s of the last century by the German company Krupp. In total, 2 of these guns were produced, bearing the names Heavy Gustav and Dora. The caliber of each was 800 millimeters, while the weight of the projectile reached 7 tons. The maximum range of fire was 50 kilometers. The speed of the projectile's flight exceeded 1,000 meters per second. During the Second World War, these giant guns were used twice. Their transportation was carried out by means of the railway. On April 22, 1945, the front units of the Alliance Army discovered the remains of Dora and Heavy Gustav, blown up by the retreating German troops. In the aftermath, all that was left of the guns was sent for remelting. MiL Mi-10. This military transport helicopter, or a flying crane, was developed in the USSR in 1961 and adopted for service in 1963. The Mi-10 is a helicopter of a classic single-rotor scheme, with a steering rotor, a 4-legged chassis and 2 gas turbine engines. The fuselage of the helicopter is made completely from metal, with a flat bottom part. The front part of the fuselage fits the cockpit with an improved view. In the central part, there's an entrance vestibule and a cargo cabin with a cargo door on the starboard side, as well as an electric winch with a carrying capacity of 200 kilograms. The cockpit of the helicopter can fit up to 3 tons of cargo or 28 passengers. To ensure that all the wheels get off the ground at the same time when taking off, the right landing gear racks are 300 millimeters shorter than the left, with a minimum clearance of 3.75 meters.